Hey there, super teachers. It's crazy night. I was supposed to speak on a show called Economics Unbound, Economics Unbound on SABC, so DSTV channel 404. And there was a technical glitch in the show which made the program run late, and then subsequently the producers cut me from the show. Now, as bummed as I am about it, I thought, you know what, this is typically what teachers will do. If you are cut down and you're not given a chance to speak, you can actually use your own voice, get onto social media, record a YouTube video, and you can say what you wanted to say. So I thought, instead of me like going, oh, damn, now I can't get my voice heard, I just thought, you know what? Mainstream media isn't the only type of media. In actual fact, I started in 2016 with my social media presence, with my YouTube channel. And I thought, you know what, I can probably get more reach out of digital media than from mainstream media. So I thought, you know what, instead of me just letting my preparation for this TV show go to waste, let me do a little YouTube episode. So here's what I would have said. The program was all about how COVID-19 and lockdown, how that influenced or impacted on education. Now, I don't know what the questions were going to be that the presenter was going to ask, but I know I prepared a few things, a few notes that I wanted to hit just to tell the story of what teachers went through. And how I wanted to start is saying that, you know, that we had two crises at the same time. We had the health crisis and we had the education crisis happening at the same time. But for the health crisis, we had hospitals. But for the education crisis, we had schools. Now imagine if you're a doctor in a hospital during COVID and you need to treat 40, 50, 60 patients at the same time, and you can't see them in your consulting room. That's basically what teachers had to do in the education crisis. 40, 50, 60 kids that we can't teach because they're not in front of us in the classroom like the way it was. But just like the doctors had to adapt and put on their outfits, the COVID hazmat suits and the masks, in the same vein, teachers had to adapt to their scenario. Now, I would really want to see a doctor doing the work that teachers did. Now, I'm not diminishing the work that they're doing whatsoever. It's a whole different context. But if a doctor needed to treat 40, 50, 60 patients at the same time without having physical access to them, imagine trying to treat kids or patients long distance, remotely. It's almost impossible. Same thing was said for teachers, that you know what, you can't teach kids if they're not in your classroom. But you know what happened? Teachers did it. Teachers saved lives, just like our colleagues, the doctors, did. Doctors on the front line, nurses on the front line for the health crisis. We had teachers and their parents, the parents of the learners, as the frontline workers, the essential workers in education. In actual fact, that's one of the keynote talks that I give. I teach businesses how they can also manage like teachers do. Teachers were dumped into a crisis where nobody thought how they would be able to deal with it, but we came through. Learning still occurred, but not in the way that we thought. And that's one of the major benefits that came from COVID-19 and the subsequent lockdown. And I think it's amazing that we had so many super teachers rising to the challenge, solving the problems. Now, what did happen is our colleagues, teachers, were dragged into the third industrial revolution. We know before COVID, the world was abuzz with the word fourth industrial revolution. We're focusing on the fourth industrial revolution. But what COVID did is it basically dragged teachers, those that didn't want to be part of the third industrial revolution, dragged them into the third industrial revolution using digital technologies. For the first time, teachers could experiment with using online platforms. You know what was the savior of lockdown? The piece of technology that saved lockdown was WhatsApp. And WhatsApp wasn't designed for educational purposes. It's designed for communication purposes. But what happened in the crisis? When we can't see each other face to face, we need solid communication structures. We can't teach if we can't communicate. And this is amazing that WhatsApp, a platform that was designed for a totally different reason, could be used by teachers to teach. Yes, we had to adapt. Yes, we had to change the way in which we typically taught. Where we used to teach synchronously, in other words, we had the kids in the classroom and everybody was learning the content at the same time. We had to move into an asynchronous mode where we design the lesson, we design the learning activity, and then the kids do it at their own pace. The way in which we communicated that was on other platforms like Google Classroom, Seesaw, all of the other ones, but one of the platforms that stood out during lockdown was WhatsApp. That blows my mind. How teachers and then parents use the communication channel to teach concepts. And what subsequently happened in this asynchronous mode is that kids started taking responsibility for their own learning. We hear amazing stories about how one learner who's got a phone, or access to a phone at least, would get the worksheet or would get the content, and then the learners will meet up at churches. They would meet up at clinics, which I don't think is such a great idea during COVID. But they would also meet up at local internet shops, which basically became homework stations. And the learners would start teaching each other. Now, do yourself a favor, go and research Professor Sugatra Mitra, who did the Hole in the Wall project, which I think is so great. Basically what he did is he put a computer screen in a wall with a trackpad, a keyboard and a trackpad, so that the kids then, with access to the internet, of course. So what the kids did is they would go and Google, well, in the early days, just search the net, but would Google what they find interesting or the questions that they have. And because of their inquiry, because of their interest and their curiosity, they started finding answers to the things that mattered to them most. Now, this is a concept called self-directed learning. So it's individualized learning. You learn the things that you find relevant. You learn the things or search for the things that you find interesting. And I think that's the key. That's how we should use the lessons from COVID going forward. We can't anymore teach Googleable lessons. You can't be asking Googleable questions, because what is your use then? But when you start developing or asking questions, that's going to let the learners become curious. That's going to drive their self-directed learning, and it's going to teach them skills that's a lot more important in the workplace and a lot more important for them as individuals going forward. Pick any career and ask people, how much do they Google? What big part or which part of your job do you actually Google? I'm thinking it's quite a lot. What the uniqueness is your ability to use what you found in a unique context to solve the problem. Now, teachers are masters at this. They are masters of asking questions. If you're a teacher and you are speaking more than the kids are speaking in your class, something's wrong. If we are continuously just lecturing, something's wrong. Now, I wanted to share that. Now, I don't know whether I would have gotten all this time live on TV, but that's the amazing thing about digital media. I can take all the time I want, but if I'm not interesting, you're going to click away. So for those of you that are still here, thank you. And it brings me to another point that I really harp on quite a lot, is the fact that you need to give something worthy of paying attention. If we use the words pay attention, kids need to pay their attention for something worthwhile paying for. So hopefully in the lessons that you design, whether it's face-to-face or whether that is online, design lessons that's worth the attention of the kids. Until next time, I'm Francois Nordia, and I am a super teacher. Stay super. See you again soon.
being a teacher is tough, especially now. That's why we need to motivate, inspire, and support each other. I'd like to invite you to subscribe to the Super Teachers Unite show and learn from the expert guests we have every week.